The ice in Saksham's glass clinked with a sharp, lonely sound, the amber liquid catching the moonlight as he stood on his balcony. He was stripped down to just his tracks, the cool night air biting into the scarred, hard planes of his chest. His silhouette was that of a man built for battle, but his eyes were those of a man who had been starving for 9 years. He took a slow, burning swallow of the whiskey, his gaze fixed on the distant silhouette of the Valley hills, but his mind was back at the Aymer fort. Sir. The image of her back against the ancient stone was burned into his retinas. For a decade, he had imagined her, dreamed of her until the dreams turned into nightmares of distance, but the reality of her had been a physical blow. She was no longer just a memory, she was a living, breathing ache. And was close to him. He remembered the scent of her as he stood in the wind beside her. Or his addiction. It wasn't the heavy, artificial perfume of the women he encountered in his life. It was the scent of rain on dry earth, of jasmine and something uniquely Falak, a soft, clean warmth that had triggered a primal roar in his blood. His pearl. On the drive back, the silence in the SUV had been a living thing. He had kept his eyes on the road, his jaw locked, but his every sense had been tuned to the woman in the passenger seat. Halfway through the journey, her exhaustion had finally won. Her head had tilted back against the leather seat, her breathing deepening into the rhythmic cadence of sleep. He had slowed the car then. He had driven like a man, carrying the most fragile treasure in the world. He remembered a single, rebellious strand of hair that had escaped her silk shawl, dancing across her forehead and tickling her cheek. The urge to reach out and tuck it back had been so violent it had made his hands shake on the steering wheel. He had watched the way the passing streetlights played across her face, the soft curve of her lips, the sweep of her lashes casting long shadows against her pale skin. In the sanctuary of the moving car, he had allowed the mask to slip for just a moment. He had looked at her with a yearning so profound, it felt like his ribs were being pried apart. He had wanted to stop the car, to pull over on the deserted highway and just watch her breathe until the sun came up. He had wanted to whisper all the secrets he had buried, to tell her that every empire he had built was meant to be a wall to protect her. But he had done nothing. He had stayed in his lane, a dark, silent guardian, while she slept in the seat beside him, so close he could have touched her heart, yet separated by a canyon of 9 years and a promise to a dead woman. Saksham drained the rest of the whiskey, the burn in his throat, a welcome distraction from the burn in his soul. He looked at his bandaged hand. He had touched her tonight. He had felt the heat of her shoulder, the hitch in her breath. 9 years, Pearl, he whispered to the dark, and I'm still exactly where I was, at your feet. His grip on the glass tightened, until the knuckles of his wounded hand turned white. He knew she wouldn't stay quiet. He knew she was probably already reaching out to the shadows, defying him. And while the CEO in him was prepared to punish her for it, the man in him, the obsessed, starving man, was secretly glad. Because as long as she was fighting him, she was looking at him. And for Saksham Singhal, being her villain was better than being a ghost. Saksham stepped back inside, sliding the glass door shut and cutting off the wind, entirely unaware that while he was busy planning a war to save her, Falak had already invited a different kind of storm into the heart of their life, one that didn't care about his 9-year-old history or his carefully constructed walls. The hunter had spent a decade watching his prey, but as the dawn finally broke, a chilling question remained. Who was this ghost from the shadows who was about to seize the pearl's full attention, and would Saksham be able to survive a rival who fought with the one thing he had forgotten how to use? Grace.